Hi, we're Beth and Tony, a British-American couple from the UK. We recently sailed on board the Anthem of the Seas on a 14-night cruise to Spain and Portugal. First launched in 2015, this Quantum-class ship has held her age well. With a maximum capacity of 4,905 guests, she weighs in at 168,666 gross tons, over a total of 16 decks.
We're going to start our tour of this beautiful Quantum-class ship all the way up on deck 16 as we look down on the pool area, which we use as a wayfinding point throughout this part of the tour.
This central pool area is the main hub of the outer decks. It's got a main pool area, a splash pad for the kids, a couple of hot tubs, and also a strange round lazy river thing, which is a bit like being in a fishbowl.
Just above the pool area, on the forward end of the ship, you'll find the North Star, which is free when you're in port for a 15-minute go-round, and there's an extra charge for while at sea.
Although the North Star does more things when you're at sea, as it can move more, I do think in port's nicer, you get nicer views.
Just below the North Star is the Sky Bar and the North Star Bar. This is the one bar on board where you'll find some of the best views, and you'll find this seating area, which there is an extra charge for.
If you go onto the Royal Caribbean app, you can book these lounges.
These lounges are free though, and if you follow them forward on the ship, you will end up at the indoor pool area.
This is a family-friendly pool, so all are welcome here. There is also another bar.
And 2 more hot tubs. Let's not forget about the hot tubs.
Continuing forward and keeping with the indoor pool theme, you come to the adult-only solarium. This is a beautiful area on the ship and very relaxing.
As you can see on the left of your screen, there is disability access for those who need it.
The swing here in the solarium is pretty famous, so let us know in the comments below if you've had a go on it. It's great fun.
At the top of the solarium, you'll find the Sunshine Bar as well as the Solarium Restaurant.
The Solarium Restaurant is open for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Dinner is a reserved affair. You have to book in the app. And unlike the rest of the solarium, you are allowed to bring children here should you wish. Some of the dishes on offer are the same in the Windjammer restaurant, the buffet restaurant, but there are, particularly at breakfast, some healthier options available.
Yeah, like those donuts you just saw. My favorite health food. Speaking of healthy food, we're going to go back to the main pool area, and tucked around behind the children's splash pad is Johnny Rockets, where you can get burgers, shakes, chicken tenders, all things like that.
There is an upcharge for this, and to be perfectly honest, we don't think it's completely worth the money, but you might disagree.
And unlike other Johnny Rockets on other Royal Caribbean ships, they do not serve breakfast, either for free or for a surcharge. But speaking of breakfast that is included in your cruise fare, let's check out the Windjammer, which is just right through these doors.
For a ship that can hold as many as 5,000 guests, the Windjammer is a real success. It never felt too busy, there's plenty of space, and you can usually get a seat.
So this is the main bakery part. As you come in, there is a second bakery part further into the Windjammer.
Also included in your cruise fare are complimentary coffees and teas that you can access here in the Windjammer, as well as a variety of soft drinks, juices in the morning, that kind of thing.
If you're on the drinks package, you have access to these Coke Freestyle machines, which, when Windjammer is closed, are open 24 hours in Sorrento's. But we'll get down to Sorrento's in just a little while. There is plenty of seating on both sides of the Windjammer. It looks pretty much the same on either side. And at the very back, you'll find your gluten-free options, which obviously includes things like fruit, but also includes gluten-free waffles and pancakes.
Yes, it was very pleasing to see that they clearly take allergies very seriously, and this is its own separate area to avoid cross-contamination. At the very back of the Windjammer, you'll find some outside seating where you can enjoy your dinner.
And back inside Windjammer, you'll find a fully stocked bar, which a lot of passengers don't seem to know is there, as well as Starbucks, one of 2 Starbucks locations on the ship. It's not actually a Starbucks, it's just a coffee place that uses Starbucks coffee and Starbucks cups, but just past that is Coastal Kitchen.
Coastal Kitchen is a relatively small restaurant and it's for suite guests, so those staying in Sky Class and above, so Grand Suites and above, and Pinnacle guests. If you are staying in C Class, which is a junior suite, you can come for dinner and eat in here as long as there is space and you need to book the evenings before. On the opposite side of the ship, on this deck, you will find the living room, which is the teen-only hangout.
And directly above that, on deck 15, you'll find the Suite Sun Deck, reserved for Sky Class, Star Class, and Pinnacle passengers. Next to the entrance to the Suite Sun Deck is something called Fuel. We weren't able to figure out what Fuel was for, but we think you can book it out for private functions. If you know, let us know in the comments below.
The Seaplex is a fantastic multi-use sports area that's used for all sorts of things, from pickleball lessons to basketball tournaments to roller skating and even bumper cars. It literally does everything. It's really well used, really well ventilated. There's the fantastic bumper cars that they use, and at the very end you will find the doghouse. Now sadly we didn't find the doghouse until our penultimate day on board, but I have to say some of the best hot dogs we'd ever had, and we really didn't think they'd be as good as they were. We recommend them.
And the hot dogs are included in your cruise fare, as are a lot of the things in the upstairs of the Seaplex. Air hockey, table tennis. There's even an Xbox Center if you or your children are into gaming. And if you're really into gaming, there's a bit more of an old school feel in the arcade, which is downstairs in the Seaplex.
Up on deck 15 you will find the running track that goes the whole way around the ship. It does pass all the sunbeds though, so it does get a bit crowded, but at least it's there.
While you're running on the running track, you will pass this giant giraffe, which is right in front of the rock climbing wall.
And she's called Gigi. The giraffe, that is, not the rock climbing wall.
This is one of the only activities we didn't do on board, but it is included in your cruise fare. One of the things we did do, or I did, along with our son, is Ripcord by iFly. This is onboard skydiving. You go into this giant plastic tube after a brief training session, and yes, that's me, that's my face wobbling in the wind. You are floating in air.
These free sessions can be booked on the app, but you do need to jump on them quickly as they go very fast.
Also going very fast, right below the iFly is the water that rushes through you as you do the surfing. Yes, here's me again, glutton for punishment on the Flow Rider. It is not as easy as it looks. And I have to say, unless you are under the age of 18, you might want to think twice about it, unless you have no dignity like me.
And again, it's free to participate. And can you even call it a cruise ship if it doesn't have a shuffleboard court?
Continuing on deck 15, this part overlooking the indoor pool, you will come across the stairs that take you up to deck 16 and the Vitality Fitness Center.
This is one of the nicest gyms we've ever come across on a cruise ship. Really well laid out, fantastic floor-to-ceiling windows, lots of space, lots of different levels. It was never too busy, a definite win.
If you don't find exercise relaxing while you're on holiday, then maybe you need to go next door to the Vitality Spa and Salon. There are a range of treatments that you can get at the Vitality Spa and Salon. They don't allow you in to have a peek, but as you walk past on deck 16, you can actually look in and see what you might be getting. And that does it for decks 14, 15, and 16. We're going to head below decks now to deck 12 and the Concierge Club.
Concierge Lounge is for suite guests and Pinnacle members, and there's a concierge based there in the mornings and the evenings if you want to book anything or you've got any questions. There's also complimentary drinks and snacks available throughout the day.
Going down one level to deck 11, you'll come across one of the entrances to the Adventure Ocean Club.
While this looks and sounds like it will be great fun for all, sadly this is only for the junior cruisers on board.
Timings vary for each cruise and for each day of each cruise, so do check your Navigator app regularly. It's pretty much all passenger decks all the way down until you get to decks 5, 4, and 3. So we're now down on deck 5, right in the middle of the ship. On deck 5 there is this huge chandelier which actually lights to the beat of your own pulse. We'll use that as a wayfinding point as we go through the next part of our tour. Just to the right is the art gallery.
Just on from here you'll come to Wonderland, which is one of the specialty restaurants on board.
We didn't eat in Wonderland ourselves on this cruise, but we really liked the theming of the restaurant and the attention to detail, like these paintbrushes and frames on the table.
Next to Wonderland you find the sushi restaurant on board, Azumi. This is a Royal Caribbean favourite, and you can do sushi making classes and things like that during the day as well.
There is an upcharge for the sushi making classes, and obviously to have a meal there, as it is a specialty restaurant, there is an upcharge for that as well, but it looks well worth it. Izumi and Wonderland sit in part of an oval on the atrium, and across on the other side is the Bionic Bar.
Not sure exactly how popular this is. We did see a few people using it, but I think it's a bit of a hype, to be honest.
Yeah, the staff on Anthem of the Seas were really nice and really friendly. That includes the bartending staff, so replacing them with the robots might not be the best thing to enhance your cruise, but let us know if you've done it. Still in the atrium oval on deck 5, next door to the Bionic Bar, is the Shore Excursions desk.
Past Azumi and heading towards the front of the ship, you come to the Schooner Bar. This is a very popular place in the evenings and during the day where they run things like quizzes and other activities.
According to fellow YouTubers Views and Cues, these ropes have a particular smell. I didn't notice anything, but if you do, let us know in the comments below.
The entrance to the next specialty dining restaurant, Chops Grill, is pretty much into the Schooner Bar. This is a steakhouse, and again another Royal Caribbean favourite. Walking back out through Chops Grill and through the Schooner Bar, you come to Focus, which is the photo shop on board.
At the other end of focus is the upstairs entrance to the Royal Theatre.
The Royal Theatre is split across 2 levels and is a pretty good size and a pretty decent theatre. The only thing I will say though is be careful of the posts when you sit down, as they can sometimes block your view.
Coming out of the Royal Theatre's balcony level on the other side is the Crown Lounge.
This lounge is reserved for Diamond, Diamond Plus and Pinnacle guests to enjoy.
Back in the main atrium on deck 5 underneath the chandelier, we're going to turn around and face the aft of the ship, which will end up at the 270 lounge. On the way, you get to look up at the glass elevator shafts, which is quite impressive.
But before we get there, you reach this seating area, which is a really lovely calm oasis in the ship. To the right of this is Jamie's Italian, which Tony and our oldest son enjoyed, and we will cover in a later date.
I don't want to spoil that upcoming video and let you know what I thought of it, but just letting you know there is an upcharge for Jamie's Italian, and they were doing offers on our cruise.
And next to Jamie's Italian is another popular spot on board, the Vintage's Wine Bar.
Directly outside Vintage's is the help desk for the Voom internet on board. And just down the corridor, still heading aft, is the next cruise desk.
Before you get to the very end and the 270 venue, you have the cafe at 270. This is a great little spot that offers breakfast, things like bagels and burritos, and sandwiches and salads throughout the day.
It is included in your cruise fare mostly, and I say mostly because at the very back of it there is a little Starbucks venue. Again, it's not a full Starbucks, they just have Starbucks cups and use Starbucks coffee. The rest of it, the bagels, the breakfast burritos, as Beth said, all of it's included in your cruise fare.
There is also another complimentary drink stand here for juices, water, iced tea, coffee. And from here you can walk straight into 270.
This is a really nice flexible venue, so you have things like daytime activities such as dance classes, there is a bar there for you to just sit and watch, bingo happened here, and that screen, that digital screen, moves around and becomes part of the show, such as Spectre's Cabaret, which is in the evenings. In the upstairs bit, there is a balcony seating area for you to watch the shows or the activities, and just behind that is the library.
From here we're going to head back to the middle of the ship and our chandelier wayfinding point, and then take these stairs down to deck 4.
This area is called the Royal Esplanade, and on either side there's electrical light installations, one of which is shaped by light switches which you can turn on and off to spell different things, and on the other side there's more of a fireworks laser light show installation. As you come out of this area, on your right, or on the left of the screen now, is the guest services area.
Opposite guest services you'll find Boleros, which is another popular drinking and dancing spot on board. The music here is usually Latin inspired.
Coming out of Boleros and going back to the main atrium, you'll start to find the shopping district of the Anthem of the Seas. This island in the middle acted as a market on sea days and when the ship was not in port, and you could buy all sorts of luxury goods. Inside port merchants, you'll find duty-free goods such as alcohol and cigarettes.
And if it's branded Royal Caribbean merch you're after, the shop is the place for you.
Directly opposite the shop, you'll find the patisserie. Now this is the largest Starbucks area on board. Again, it's not a full Starbucks, but they do serve Starbucks coffee in Starbucks cups to give you your fix.
If you don't want to splash out on a fancy coffee or it's not included in your drinks package, if you head across the way from here, you get to Cafe Promenade, where you can get complimentary coffee and soft drinks, and also a variety of smaller snacks, sandwiches, cakes and cookies.
On our cruise, we didn't find anything in here that you couldn't get up in the Windjammer, but Cafe Promenade is open 24 hours a day, so you can always get your cakes whenever you want them. Right next door to it is Sorrento's, another eating establishment that is included in your cruise fare.
There's usually about 3 different choices of pizzas available by the slice, and the service here was lovely. The staff were really charming.
Right next to Sorrento's, another place you can grab a small bite to eat or a drink is the Brass and Bach. We were on a sailing out of Southampton in the UK, and this was always packed with people. I don't know if it's because it's British and Irish inspired or because it's just a great venue, but they do have light bites for you to eat at an upcharge, as well as alcoholic drinks and non-alcoholic drinks. Right across from this is the Regalia Fine Jewelry Centre, where you can buy your Effie jewelry.
Walking down past the pub and the shops, you will come to the music hall. This is another double-level venue and is extremely popular.
We'll get down to the lower level in a little while in this video, but here on the upper level you can enjoy the shows from a different angle, and you can also enjoy things like pool, or snooker, however you want to say it, and darts. Coming out at the top level of the music hall, we continue our shopping with Prince and Green.
This shop had a collection of summer clothing for ladies, men and kids, so if you'd forgotten anything or you wanted to pick up some extra bits and pieces while you were away, you could do so in here. Right next door was the Sundial shop, which sold sunglasses, some at really reasonable prices. And just beyond here in the Royal shops you had vintage Louis Vuitton and Gucci bags that you can purchase, and also perfume and cosmetics.
Coming out of this shop on deck 4, you come to the lower entrance to the Royal Theatre. And here it's worth pointing out that apart from live shows, comedians and things like that, they did have films that they showed.
Staying on deck 4, we're going to turn ourselves around, walk back the way we came, carry on through past the light fixtures and down to the very end where you'll find 2 of the MDRs, the main dining rooms on board. One, the Icon Grill, and Silk.
Now these are included in your cruise fare. We're going to start on the right hand side with Silk.
Despite looking different, these do serve exactly the same menus.
Coming out of Silk and looking opposite, you'll find the American Icon Grill. Again, as Beth said, these restaurants could not be more different in terms of decor, but the menus every night were exactly the same as each other. These aren't the only two main dining rooms on board Anthem of the Seas. Coming out of the American Icon, going straight down the stairs, you will find two more, called Chic and Grande. And you guessed it, directly opposite Grande is Chic, the last of the four main dining rooms on board. If you've been keeping track, we are now on deck 3. This is the final deck of our tour, and coming out of Chic and Grande and heading up the ship, you'll come across the Casino Royale.
We really liked how the casino was tucked away. On so many ships, it's a massive part of the main decks and you have to walk through the casino to get anywhere. So actually having it down here with the restaurants seemed a really, really good place to put it, and it was a good size.
The casino was only open while the ship was at sea, for obvious legal reasons, but it was always pretty packed in there with lots of room to move around. And coming out of the Casino Royale, headed towards the front of the ship, you'll find the lower level of the music hall.
And this is where we're going to end our tour. We do hope you've enjoyed having a look around the Anthem of the Seas. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And we'd be really grateful if you'd consider subscribing. It's free to do, will mean the world to us, and really helps the channel.
Yes, that's the ship itself, but if you'd like to see what we got up to on Anthem of the Seas, please check out these vlogs right over here. See you next time.